Hi everyone, and welcome to the REFSIX Euros special. I am Hassan, and I'm joined by my co-host today, Phil Sharp, ex-FIFA assistant referee. John is away on holiday, enjoying the aftermath of the England-Ukraine game, which was less less nail biting than I was expecting. Phil, did you watch the game? I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I watched it with my son. It was a great game, just a great evening, really. It was a great spectacle.
Yeah, I was. You know what? An early goal settles the nerves, doesn't it? And I thought it was a very. It was. We're starting to purr. England are right. We're starting. Everyone was talking about the first games. Okay, we only scored 2 goals. We hadn't conceded, etc. But we showed against Germany we can score a couple, and now we got 4. So hopefully more confidence going into the semi-final, which will be a hard game against a good Danish team, right? But yeah, we're here to talk about refereeing, and we're going to go through a few of the key incidents from the quarterfinals. So let's make a start with the Italy-Belgium game, which is probably the game of the tournament almost, at least in terms of 2 of the heavyweights of the tournament coming together. The referee was Slovenian Vincic, who had a pretty great game in my opinion. But there was 3 incidents that we're going to talk about specifically. The first one was an offside really early on, where a goal was scored by Bonucci, but there was an offside that VAR called an offside, and it was a clear offside. There's no complaints about that. But Phil, because your experience as an elite assistant referee, I wanted to kind of get the thought process across to our listeners about how an offside decision gets made in terms of the communication between the assistant and the referee. So could you maybe, role play is maybe not the right word, but can you give us an insight into how the communication would have occurred from the assistant? Because in most cases, you are the sole arbitrator of offside, right? But there may be some information that you need from the referee as the play progresses. So could you talk us through that in relation to this incident?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I always said that any attacking free kick, was a lot easier to judge offside because the majority of players are stationary to start with.
Yeah.
And so you line up with the second last defender. And already I'm talking in my head about the attackers, the numbers, who are in offside positions, who are not, where the ball's likely to go, and just get a feel for things even before the ball's been kicked. And in a situation like this, I'm talking in my head, not offside, if it goes to the far post, that could be a different decision to if it goes to the near post.
Mm-hmm.
So the communication might be in a situation, did a player make contact with the ball?
Mm-hmm.
So that is sometimes quite difficult to judge from the distance that I am away as the assistant referee. So the teamwork would be, who touched it? Was it a defender? Was it an attacker? Did they touch it at all? And as long as we make that decision before the game's restarted, we can cancel out the goal.
Yeah.
Or we allow the good goal. For me, watching this game on TV, I was already thinking there was an offside situation as soon as the ball was kicked. Chiellini, he was in an offside position on the top of your picture on your TV screens.
Mm-hmm.
He had, I think, his left leg out. And if he touches the ball, which I think he did, already there's an offside situation there where the assistant referee can flag.
Sure.
The ball then goes into the penalty area where 2 other Italians are, and one uses his thigh, the top part of his leg. It touches that, goes on to, is it Bonucci who then scores the goal?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, there's actually 2 offside situations, which I actually thought they were giving for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think on TV, they say, oh no, it was a tight decision. VAR gave it for the second one.
Yeah.
But as long as you're communicating, and a lot of our listeners out there might say, well, we don't have communication kits, so how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
We just go back to old-fashioned values, and that's communicate by verbal. You get the referee over, you speak about it, and you come to a decision jointly.
So let's so the Chiellini may have been offside, so brilliant. You'd probably raise your flag at that point. But when it goes, let's assume play continues. You either haven't spotted it, or let's say he was in an onside position. What the touch in the middle before it gets to Bonucci is quite hard to see, maybe from the assistant's perspective, because it's kind of a graze. It's not really a clear pass. It may have missed him. So who's responsible? Like, how did it happen in practice? Does the referee say touch, or like how do you have that conversation? Like, is it as soon as the player touches it, the referee says touch or played, and then you know, great, now the next kind of phase is in play, or does it get played through and then you ask the question, hi referee, did X play the ball? If so, Bonucci was or not. Like, how does that conversation happen? And is it different referees?
Well, I'm sure things have changed, but when I was active, originally anything to do with offside was down to the assistant referee. A referee was not looking for anything to do with offside, apart from you putting up your flag or not, and then making a decision. They then became situations where defenders would play the ball back, and as an assistant you was asking back pass, ? Or the referee might call across back pass, and then that would indicate that you don't need to raise the flag because the defenders played the ball. I think in this situation, I don't think the referee's looking to say touch or been touched, or they're relying on you with your expertise to make offside calls. But there may well be a situation like this where there is some communication to say it appeared that the ball deviated in its movement, and therefore it appears that the first attacker touches the ball. What's great about nowadays is that we have VAR. The VAR protocols now for this, with goal scoring opportunities, is that this clarifies things for us that maybe the human eye can't see just by itself. So we have the technology now, but all those years ago, it was down to experience and being in the right position to make those calls. So it was the right decision. It was the right decision.
100%. I just wanted to get some insight from you on the way a decision gets made. So that's brilliant. So there are two more incidents from this game. The first one has gone pretty viral, and it was in the build-up to the first goal. There was a challenge on Immobile. It could have been a foul, could have been a penalty, possibly, I'm not sure. But what's gone viral is the fact that he's in agony on the floor, staying down. The ball then breaks to one of his teammates. They score a goal, and all of a sudden Immobile makes the fastest kind of recovery ever. Gets up, has a look, gets up, and goes and celebrates with his teammates. So obviously there's questions of sportsmanship here. There's questions of, did he need to exaggerate to maybe draw attention to the possible penalty or not? Is there a case for simulation here? So what were your thoughts when you saw it back? Because it was, Alan Shearer had some choice words on the TV about, obviously Alan Shearer would never do something like that in his opinion. But what were your thoughts?
My first thoughts was it wasn't a penalty. So, as referees, we have to make decisions. And once one decision's been made, we could be faced with another one or even two or three decisions. So the first decision is no penalty. The game continues. We now have to think about player safety. So how long is the player down for? But when Italy score, that's really what Italy want, isn't it? They want that goal. It's a good goal. There's nothing to, chalk it out. And the issue then becomes, what's happened? Because why did the player just jump up almost like, oh, I'm okay now? And as you say, the spirit of the game is something that FIFA are really hot on. And I'm not saying that they would take action against him after the event, but I think maybe this would be shown around the world as this is not the way to behave. And the only way that we could ever answer this question is if you was interviewing Immobile right now and asking him what happened. Why did you do this? Because I think that would be great TV. Why do people do things in football? No one ever asked them when they did things that were incorrect or wrong. they only talk about good things. But if you highlighted things that weren't correct, I think that would be bad enough for anybody to face. So the social media sort of outcry on what he's done is probably feeling a bit embarrassed about the whole thing. Maybe that's I don't want to call it punishment, but that's what's going to happen to people that are shown as not to been injured. It might be a first if a referee actually showed a yellow card for a player, and just when that was not sporting, that's against the spirit of the laws. So if somebody did issue a yellow card, that would be a landmark decision.
Definitely. And then there was a incident late in the first half where Belgium 2-0 down had an opportunity to get back into the game through a penalty. Doku was running down the left side, came into the box, and there was I think it was Di Lorenzo for Italy, made a push on the player, right? And it looks like he's gone quite flying almost. Some people said this was a soft penalty. Some people didn't think it was a penalty at all, and some people thought it was a stonewaller. So I thought it was a pen, but keen to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, quite a few WhatsApp groups for referees were, is that a pen, ? And like every other one was yes, no, soft or whatever. I think what you have to think about here is that the attacker was running at speed with the ball, and you could say that any slight nudge would send him flying because of the momentum that is already, running at the speed that he's running at. For me, it was a penalty, and you have to ask, why did the defender do that? It was a shove in the back. Why do you do that?
Yeah.
When, for me as a referee, it's easy. You just stand there and go, he pushed him, he shoved him. And that's what we should do as referees, is actually say to people, look, I didn't make the challenge. Your defender shoved him in the back. Yeah. It's in the penalty area. It's a free kick.
Yeah.
In this case, penalty.
Yeah, I thought it was a pen, and I thought the referee was in great position. It was a quick break and made a great decision. So, perfect. So we'll move on to the one of the other English teams in the tournament, which was Michael Oliver's team, for the Spain-Switzerland game, a game that went all the way to the kicks from the penalty mark. One major incident is probably the talking point of the whole round in terms of a red card or not. And then there's a smaller incident that probably not many people saw in the kicks from the penalty mark. So we'll start with the red card, because this was talked about a lot. There was even Gary Lineker was saying, that's just no way is that a red card. I think it was Gary Lineker. There was a lot of pundits who said no chance. So yeah, I watched it live. I thought, as soon as I watched it live, I thought red card. And as soon as our English officials normally have the red card in the back pocket, and you just saw Michael Oliver's hand reach there. I knew exactly what card was going to come out. And he was so calm and measured in his approach when he gave the red card. It was, it was flawless in my opinion. But a lot of people made suggestions that it should never have been a red, should have been a yellow. And I think there's a few different things here. There was a slight touch on the ball before the challenge, kind of, which we've talked about in previous episodes, especially with the Ukraine-Sweden game, where it doesn't matter if you win the ball, you've got to pay attention to what you're doing after winning the ball. But then there was whether or not the contact from the Swiss player on the Spanish player was excessive force or not. So some of the pundits were not too impressed with the card. And some referees have said stonewall. So, Phil, clear it up for us.
Well, only my opinion is that it's a red card because it endangered the safety of the opponent. Mm-hmm. I think when you analyse challenges on TV, you look to see, where did the studs make contact with the opponent? And we've spoken about treading on people's feet or legs for yellow and red cards. For me, this was like a scissor action where he almost like cut away the player's legs. Mm-hmm. It was at speed. He jumped into the challenge. He was out of control. Yeah. And when you tick all those boxes, it can only lead to one decision.
Hmm.
So I understand why former players think, oh, that might only be a yellow card. But as a referee, we're thinking about the bigger picture of endangering a player's safety.
Yeah.
It has to be red card.
Yeah, no, perfect. I don't think we need to talk much about it. I think everything you just said is exactly what I was thinking as well. So perfect. The last point from this game, and it's a really interesting one because I didn't see it, but I got a text message saying Unai Simon, the Spanish goalkeeper, when he saved one of the penalties, he had 1 foot in front of the line and one behind the line, right? And in law it states that one of your feet has to be on the line. So it's very, very particularly worded, on the line. So this is a really great question to me because it shows like, hey, do we stick with law, what it physically states and is written down? Or do we have to understand the spirit of the law and why it was written in such a way that, we might have to interpret a situation slightly differently sometimes? So, yeah, Phil, really keen to hear your point of view on this one.
Yeah, I actually saw this, and I don't think he's the first goalkeeper to have 1 foot behind the line.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult, isn't it? Because if the goalkeeper was to save the penalty, and then the assistant referee or the referee says, no, we're having it taken again because 1 foot wasn't on the line,
yeah,
you could say that's being pedantic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I made some notes actually, and I thought, I wonder if IFAB will clarify this a bit like a throw-in, where the feet have to be on or behind the line for a throw-in. I wonder if this is going to be that 1 foot has to be on or behind the line, or whether they say, no, we're saying 1 foot on the line, because if you was analysing a goalkeeper's actions, are they actually getting a benefit by having the foot behind the line and then pushing off further? So therefore that's unfair. Or will people just clarify it? So I've seen it. I don't think that I would have taken action if it had been saved, because I think we'd be using some common sense, but definitely something for somebody to clarify and have the defined wording. Does 1 foot on the line mean 1 foot must be on the line, or 1 foot on or behind the line?
Exactly. And we haven't seen it, I don't think, but what happens if a goalkeeper stands 3 yards right at the back of the net and runs out before the kick's taken to the line? Is that a problem or not? So yeah, little things for clarification, but it was a really interesting point. So thanks for whoever sent that to me. We'll move on to the England-Ukraine game, which was an amazing evening. Felix Brych was the referee. He was the referee he had a game in the second round and then the quarterfinals. He was the only referee to get 2 in a row, and has now actually subsequently been appointed to the semi-final between Italy and Spain. So pretty great run of games he's on. And there was really nothing really to talk about. I thought he was really proactive when he could see Ukraine were getting to a point of frustration. He tried to proactively get involved to make sure that it wouldn't it wouldn't escalate, which I liked. But really the only talking point I had was, you don't see it often, but he blew on 90 minutes. I'm sure there was a lot of substitutions. There was 3 goals. There may have been an injury or 2. There was definitely some additional time to be played, but he made a judgment call of, blowing at 90 minutes. Was that smart refereeing, or was that going against all of the principles of, timekeeping as a referee?
Well, they do say that the referee is the official timekeeper.
Yeah.
Which is almost like rule number 1. But what I would say is that's experienced refereeing. Ukraine were losing 4-0. What could they possibly achieve in 2 minutes or 3 minutes? Maybe they would have scored a goal. Maybe they could have scored 2 goals. But the other thing to think about, as you've already highlighted, is that Ukraine are already frustrated. And that frustration could boil over and a situation happen, whether a yellow card or a red card, and you think that didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
It's 4-0 on 90 minutes, final whistle, game over, everybody's happy, apart from if you've lost 4-0, that is. So you're avoiding problems that could happen that are avoidable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
So
completely.
it was experienced refereeing on, and a coach might come up to us as referees and go, but ref, I still had 2 minutes to play on my watch.
Yeah.
Yes, on your watch, we could have still had 2 minutes, but it wasn't going to affect the result.
Yeah.
And it was sensible, safe refereeing.
The only thing about it I felt sorry for was there was 3 Ukrainians waiting on the pitch for a good 3 minutes. I think the ball was in play for a long time before the 90 minutes was up. And I think one of them was about to make their debut, under 18 or 18-year-old coming on. And I felt a bit sorry for them, right? But yeah, is this a referee's problem? Is it Shevchenko's problem for not bringing them on with a few minutes more time in the game? Like, should the referee have waited another minute, allowed them to come on and played for 30 seconds and then blew the final whistle? Like, is there any empathy as a referee that we need to show in that situation?
No, not at all. That's not our issue.
Yeah.
I saw this, and I thought, that's strange. He's going to put on 3 subs with whatever 2 or 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand that as a football fan.
Mm-hmm.
I get it if you're thinking about, oh, we've got a young player here that's going to make their international debut, but they could go on and not even touch the ball.
Yeah.
I don't see the sense in that at all. I just come in from it from a different viewpoint at all. And you think that, I know that in England, whether you play 90 minutes or you play 5 minutes, that you get a cap for, an appearance for the national team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it ought to be more than that. That's down to the coach to say, I'm not going to give you 2 minutes, I'm going to give you 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't have changed anything. England had already won the game. Is that if you're a coach and you want to make substitutes, yeah, you can make them any time. What would have been interesting if it was a draw and going to, let's just say if it was in extra time or and it was then going to kicks from the penalty mark, and he didn't have a chance to put on the 3 kickers for penalties, that would have been a really interesting situation, but not a referee's decision to make over whether you do or you don't allow them to come on.
No, awesome. I think it was a great game, and obviously really great that he's moved into the next round as well. So now we're going into the semi-finals. 2 big games: Italy, Spain, England, Denmark. I already mentioned Felix Brych is the referee for the Italy-Spain game. It's been confirmed by UEFA 3 games in a row now, which is a pretty fantastic achievement. There is rumours, although unconfirmed, coming out of the Netherlands that Danny McKelly will be getting the England-Denmark game. He refereed England-Germany in the last round. And the other rumour is that Bjorn Kuipers will be refereeing the final based on whichever team gets through. They haven't been confirmed by UEFA. It's just rumours coming out of Netherlands at the moment. But if they are, the appointments deserved, do you think?
I think that with Danny, if Danny gets a semi-final, then apart from the final, he's had 2 top appointments, because the opening game, which he had, Italy-Turkey, which seems ages ago now, that's a big plus when a tournament gives you the opening game, because they're looking at a referee to set the standard for the tournament. So for him to have the opening game, and if he did get a semi-final, he's still a young referee. He will have other tournaments to look forward to in the future. I'd be very, very happy with that. What I would say is that UEFA have already made another, selection process of those referees that will be staying. After the group games, and now after the quarterfinals, some more referees will be going home, and they keep a selection of referees who will stay there to train, still be looking at videos, still preparing, because until those appointments are made, you've still got a chance of being selected. And then after the final, the referees will go home the day afterwards. You don't stay there for a week afterwards and stay in the hotel. Your flights are arranged for the day after, and then you'll be on your way home. So, we've got 3 more exciting games to go. The 2 semi-finals, I think, are both going to be cracking games. Because on the one hand, with the Italy-Spain game, you might be thinking about, there's 2 flair football teams there.
Yeah.
But both Denmark and England have shown their own brands of football.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, Denmark have probably got the public support with everything they've been through. England have got the national support of, come on, we're nearly there, you know, and everyone's fervent about it. I think that'd just be unbelievable. But you know, if you can get a ticket for either one of those two games, you're a very lucky person.
100%. They're going for a lot of money right now, and way too much for my pockets. I'm intrigued by what you mentioned. So do you think that because England have got to the semis, do you think both Anthony Taylor and Michael Oliver will be going home, or do you think they would keep them just in case England didn't get through?
Yeah, well, unless somebody already knows differently.
Yeah.
The thing is, in the tournaments that I've been involved in, especially when it comes to semi-finals, they don't generally have a referee from the country of one of the teams that is in the other semi-final.
Okay.
So we've mentioned before, there's no English referees going to do England versus Denmark, okay? But they're not going to put an English referee necessarily on the other semi-final, because there's people out there that perceive that, oh, you had an effect on who England might play in the final.
Yeah.
But let's just say if England didn't make it to the final, then both Michael and Anthony, I think, have had great tournaments and worthy of selection for the final if that opportunity came about.
Yeah.
So UEFA are not going to send all the referees home except for, say, 3, because also you need 4th officials for the games. But just in case something happened, maybe somebody got injured. So there's always going to be more referees than they need, but not all the referees that are needed up till now. Yeah.
No, awesome. And then what happens, like, if you're still there on the games in the final, but you weren't selected? Do the referees get tickets to the game? Like, I like the idea of all the referees would have their own little section in the crowd so they can cheer on the referees. But I don't think that happens.
That used to happen when a tournament was in, say, a country or two countries, like in Euro 2000 in the Netherlands and Belgium, is that the referees were based there as well.
Yeah.
Whereas with this Euro 2020, the referees are based in Turkey. And even when the English referees came to officiate at Wembley, they would fly in, do the game, and fly back to Turkey again.
Yeah.
So, but I think for either the semi-finals and the final, they all moved to London. So I think now that all the officials are in London, because that's where all the games are being played.
Yeah.
No, you'd still keep active, you'd still be training, you'd still be doing things. Maybe UEFA have got some tickets that they can give to the match officials to then come to Wembley and watch the games.
Yeah.
But when they was in Turkey, they wouldn't be able to say go to St. Petersburg to watch a game and then we'll fly you back.
Did it happen in the tournaments where you were in the same location that you'd go to get, like you've already talked on previous pods that you'd watch the games together, but would you actually physically go and watch the games in person with other crews if you were able to?
Yeah, that's always happened as an active official. And then when I was assistant referee coach for UEFA in both Poland, Ukraine and France 2016, we were allowed to go to games that were actually held in Paris. And Paris had 2 stadiums that you could go to watch games in. But as I was analysing matches and doing statistics, it was a lot easier for me to do that from a TV rather than be, say, behind a goal at a stadium or not in a good position to make judgments. So it's great for the atmosphere and to take it all in. That's really good. And when there were tournaments with, say, somebody like Pierluigi Collina, the referee from Italy, people were always sitting around him because they knew that the world's media and the paparazzi would be taking photographs of him in the stand, and that used to happen.
And then so traditionally, I believe the final referee is actually announced after both semi-finals have happened, right? So we don't know necessarily if this leak is correct, or if it is, it probably won't be announced by UEFA till after the semi-finals who gets the final. But let's say it is, well, it doesn't matter if it's Kuipers or any other referee. You've been in the position where you've been given a final, an elite tournament in the past. What does that build up those few days look like up until the game? Because it's quite a short turnaround, right? It'll be Thursday announcement, let's say, for a Sunday evening game. What do those few days look like?
Yeah, times have changed because for the World Cup in Japan 2002, there wasn't a team of 4 English match officials there. It was individuals, like a referee from one country and 2 assistants from different countries, 4th official from another country.
Mm-hmm.
But what the referee did on that occasion was that he basically said, although we're here as a group of referees, we're going to be a group within a group.
Mm-hmm.
So that at meal times we'd eat together, we'd go and watch, like analysis of matches together. We would train together. We might do additional training together. It's building that teamwork together so that the moment that you step onto the field of play, you know exactly what each other person's doing.
Yeah.
And that, I think that really emphasised the terminology specialist assistant referee, because you were there as a specialist and the referee was relying on you to make the correct calls as part of their team. So it was a great time for me. It was unexpected because you go to that there's going to be an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a bit like thinking that there's a big raffle, and the winning ticket gets a fast car or a new house or loads of money, and you think, oh, I'm never going to win.
Yeah.
But you just go there because you have to go there. And then when your name's called out, it's almost like, what? It was just amazing feeling to go through, and that euphoria of that appointment, and all your colleagues, although they might be disappointed with themselves, are happy for you. And that was a great moment. That camaraderie, we've spoken about this before, is that when you don't receive something and when a friend does, whether it's promotion, the cup final, or whatever, is be pleased for them.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've taken, be humble about things, but to be pleased for somebody else. And just a great time. And no matter how the game goes, nobody can ever take away from you that next to that final is your name.
Yeah.
It might not be a very good game. It might be pouring with rain. It might be decided by a mistake by a player, but never take away the fact that you were selected to do that game. That's what I've always treasured.
Awesome. And we'll get to the final when we do our next podcast, after we wrap up the semis, so we can talk more about that. Phil, it was a pleasure to have you on again. We'll be speaking on Thursday, I'm sure, to review the Italy-Spain game and the England-Denmark game. But I'm pretty sure it's coming home. Do you think it's coming home?
Oh, do you know what? It's almost like, do you dare say it? And that's what I'm hearing now. People are like, oh, I don't want to say it because we could trip up at this, second to last hurdle. Let's not forget, Denmark lost their first 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
The tragedy of everything that happened, on that first day, and the national further that brought 11 players plus all the backroom staff, all the substitutes, brought them together. They are a team bonded together, aren't they? You
100%.
Couldn't wish for better, being part of a team than I would say Denmark are. So we shouldn't underestimate them. What we do have, though, is we're playing at Wembley.
Yeah.
And the fans, I can remember watching the last game that they played at Wembley with the increase in spectators, and even across on the TV, it looked like it was an incredible atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So if spectators get behind the team, then I think we've got a very good chance.
Yeah, so let's concentrate on this game. And I love that with Gareth and the mentality that he's put into the team. You can hear it in all the interviews that they're focused, they're not getting ahead of themselves, and it's awesome. So hopefully we go out and put a good account for ourselves. That's the only thing that we can ask for, and hopefully the the ball falls kindly for us. But
Yeah,
Phil, we'll see you on Thursday, and hopefully we've got big smiles on our face.
hope so.
Cheers, Phil.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.